Welcome to the What a Play podcast. We are your hosts, Jacob and Lucas. Lucas, how is your day going?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing great. All right, so this is week 11. We're kind of starting in the middle here. But the first game we're going to start with is the game on Monday Night Football, Eagles-Chiefs. The Eagles end up winning 21-17. What were your first thoughts of this game when the schedule came out?
I was excited. I was actually happy it was on Monday Night Football too. Normally Monday night and Thursday night get the crap games, so to have Joe Buck and Troy Aikman call like a Super Bowl rematch, I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, me as well. Like I said this on my show yesterday on the NFL World show that this game will be fun to watch. I didn't expect it to get as sloppy as it did. I mean, the two questions that I thought Joe and Troy were going to do a good job, but I was questioning how Mahomes is going to get the ball to his wide receivers with only Travis Kelce. And that was pretty much the listing of the game, if you recall. There was a lot of drop passes for the Chiefs, five, six drop passes yesterday, including almost a game winner, which I was like screaming at my television saying, "It's in your hands. I know the ball's wet because it's raining,
Right.
but still, change your gloves, do something." It was just, I thought it was the one thing if I'm the Chiefs that you can be happy about is your defense shut down the Eagles. They only scored 21 points. A team that was in the Super Bowl.
I would say to that, the Eagles, they've been winning ugly games. A lot of games, that they've played have been close. So that's not really a surprise to me. What was a surprise to me was how Pacheco was like he was having a really good game, and then they just kind of took him out of the game. Which I didn't really understand.
I thought the running game for the Chiefs was great. The Eagles have only given up about 66 yards on the ground, and they had, I think it was like 120 between Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire. So I was surprised they just stopped running the ball. There was also mistakes that you could not predict. Kelce fumbling in the red zone, Mahomes underthrowing a ball in the red zone. That if he throws it a little bit higher, it's a touchdown. Kelce it gets punched out. You could tell he had some difficulty holding on to it prior to it getting punched out. So, yeah, there was just a lot of odds. And give credit to the Eagles. They played well enough to win. My concern would be, what are we going to do? Like, I don't know if you pay attention to MVP odds or anything.
But is it Stroud?
No, right now the leader is Hurts, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it went up it's now like minus 250. But he didn't play well. Hurts did not play well.
It was tough.
And that's I get that too. But the things that we criticize a quarterback for, we're not criticizing him for. Like they've been inconsistent on offense.
That's true. One thing I don't know if you noticed during the game that I didn't understand when, of course, the Eagles did capitalize off of the Chiefs' mistakes and they won the game, but like there were a couple drives in a row where they had some questionable like play calls, like the receiver screens, they weren't able to block. Swift had a couple big plays, but I don't know. I feel like there were plenty of drives where their offense kind of fell flat.
That's been the Eagles' offense the whole year, though. There's times they just look flat, and like they're good enough. You got AJ Brown, you got Devontae Smith, of course, but if Spagnuolo doesn't send that blitz. Does Devontae get free? You don't know. That's the whole thing. Like, it's like there's times where they look good, and then there's times they don't look so good. And I think that's really been the whole year. I think there's been a lot of teams that have been very inconsistent. Like, the Bills have looked very inconsistent the whole
by
year.
definition of
And we'll
inconsistent.
talk about the Bills. But it's like there's a lot going on in terms of inconsistency.
Yeah.
But yeah, props to the Eagles. Did a good game. I don't care for the A.J. Brown look. I thought, like, you asked for the ball. Hurts is saying, well, the route's not a go route. I'm not going to throw it.
You're right.
So I don't care for what he did to Hurts on the sidelines. But otherwise, it was fine. But yeah, it was a fine game. That's the best way I can put it.
Yep. And to go real quick, because everyone's talking about the Chiefs drops. Come January, the drops will people aren't going to drop the ball as much when the games mean more. I believe. So I don't think it's as big of a deal as everyone thinks. I don't think the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, but I think they'll be a contender come January. Absolutely.
We're going a little off course, but who do you think is the best team in the NFL? I think it's Baltimore.
Eagles, Ravens. One of those two.
Yeah, I think it's Baltimore. I think what Baltimore can do, their defense, mixing with how their offense can play.
Yeah.
Because besides that game against, I think it was Pittsburgh early in the year where they dropped like 7 passes, they've been dominating people. And they're the only team I think that can do that. The Eagles, they have the talent to do it. Can they do it? That's the whole question.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the Ravens-Bengals. This is the game that happened on Thursday night. I'm not going to say it went as expected, but I was actually happy that Al Michaels didn't fall asleep in this game. But Ravens-Bengals didn't exactly go as I expected, but Al Michaels didn't fall asleep in this game.
Yeah.
That was amazing because he's looked so exhausted. The only time I saw him very happy in the last couple of weeks was when Jason Kelce showed up in the booth. That was it.
He seems uninspired. I don't know.
People ask him, is he going to retire? And he said, no, I'm not going to retire. But man, can we put on some better games for this guy?
Yeah.
I mean, the Bears and Chargers is not a good game. Washington's not a good game.
To be fair, what did you think was going to happen when you went from Sunday night football to Thursday night prime time on Amazon Video? Like, I mean, you went for the bag, but you know, whatever, it doesn't really matter.
But anyway,
so yeah. Joe Burrow out for the year. Is that what we're looking at? Joe Burrow?
Yeah, okay. So the thing is, well, first of all, let's start this. He got hurt. He got hit by Jadeveon Clowney, who actually looked pretty good in this game, by the way. And it looked like he fell on his wrist. And then for the touchdown, he throws a pass to Joe Mixon. And it looked bad. It looked like he really underthrew it. And at the end, he's like holding onto his hand, like his hand's all like clenched up. And he's trying. He got it out there. And then he goes into the medical tent, which, by the way, the reporting on the sideline, as we will talk later on the show, was really good because we figured out what was happening. But prior to him actually throwing the 2 practice passes when he got back to the sideline, they showed him coming off, I think it was either the bus or the plane. I can't remember which. He had this like thing on his arm. He called it a compression sleeve. It looked more like, I don't know what it looked like. Some people said it was a compression sleeve. Some people thought it was a thing that you put on your hand for if you draw so you don't smudge the paper. Some people thought it was a brace for his hand as it was a pre-existing injury. The NFL is investigating that side because if it is an injury, they did not report it.
Yep.
Which is could be a fine of some sort. I don't remember the last time. Schefter said it was like 2019.
I think
If
it
the
was
Steelers,
Tomlin, and I think it
yeah,
was 25,000.
okay, yeah. Chef Dad said it was like 20,000 for Tomlin, like 75,000 for the Steelers.
Yeah.
For not putting Big Ben on the board.
Mm.
But I don't know if it really affected the game a whole lot, to be honest with you. I don't know if the Bengals were really going to win. I thought Lamar looked good, but Lamar got banged up.
Mark Andrews,
So
he got hurt.
Mark Andrews, as we will talk about Mark's injury and Burrow's injury, but when Burrow came back out of the medical tent, we saw the second throw, but they showed a replay of the first throw. He couldn't even really push the ball.
Kind of reminds me of Johnny Manziel in college. You remember that? Yeah, that's what I
Yes,
thought of.
I do remember. I was talking about that. I said, I remember this. This happened in like 2013 when Johnny Manziel was at Texas A&M and he tries to throw the ball. He's like, nope, I can't. I got nothing. But yeah, like I kind of predicted the Ravens to win this because I was like, I just don't see the Bengals being able to hold on long enough. That's how they're winning games a lot of the time right now. They beat San Francisco without Deebo Samuel. Like, okay.
Right.
I mean, San Francisco with Deebo Samuel looks like a monster. Without Deebo Samuel, they look like they're very mortal. I think it's just plain and simple. Which, by the way, the Brock Purdy MVP, not really. If you have Deebo Samuel, sure. Without him, don't talk about it. But yeah, Lamar looked good. Got banged up during the game, but looked good. I like the Mitchell kid, the running back. I like him. I think he shows some juice. I like what Gus Edwards is doing near the goal line.
Yeah.
And I really think if J.K. Dobbins is not there, he's the starter. That's how good he is.
Doesn't seem like he can be there.
I know. But I don't think anyone could be really the starter if you're the running back for the Ravens.
Yeah, it's a running by committee.
Yeah, exactly. And the Bengals, look, it's a tough stretch. You got to play Kansas City late in the year. They maybe you go sign somebody, Colt McCoy, something, do something, because I don't know if you can survive with Jake Browning as your quarterback.
Probably not.
But moving on to Broncos Vikings. The Broncos just keep finding a way to win these games, don't they? They've showed the last 4 games the Broncos have won have all been by 3, except for the Chiefs game, have all been by 2 points or less. They win this game 21-20.
Probably comes down to coaching. I would
say what now?
I said it probably comes down to coaching. I mean, everyone thought Sean Payton when he lost his first few games that he was washed and it was terrible. It takes time. And I think you're seeing the results of trading for Sean Payton working out now later in the year. They might make a playoff run.
Oh, absolutely. They were right in the thick of it. They were 1-5, now they're 5-5. Their defense is playing lights out. They're getting turnovers. They're making plays. They're actually throwing the ball to Courtland Sutton. Shocking. You throw the ball to him, good things happen.
Wilson
They're
looks
running
good.
the ball well. Russell looks pretty good. Yeah, I wish they could do a little more on offense. But otherwise, I think they do a good enough job. Their defense is going to keep them in every game. You still got to play the Chargers twice, which we will talk probably about the Chargers in a little bit.
Which, if it's a close game, then they might go 2-0 because Chargers cannot win close games.
I think they'll definitely split. I think that will definitely happen.
I could see that.
And it's not like Josh Dobbs did bad. We'll talk about Kareem Jackson's hit a little later in the show. But Dobbs did fine. You got, on the last drive, 2 big plays by Justin Simmons to knock the ball away from Hawkinson. 2 big plays. You can't ask for anything better from your star safety. And again, I do think you're right. I think it's the Sean Payton effect. It's something he can do. And the more that him and Russell grow together, the better this team will be.
Yeah. Yeah.
How long can this offense stick around with playing field position? That's the big concern in my book.
Yeah, fair.
All right,
Yeah, no,
moving on
I
to the.
think people.
Oh,
Real quick, I'll just say, people were really quick to hate on Josh Dobbs. He played a good game. He kept the Vikings in there. He's still new to the whole organization, so just give him a little bit of a break. He played a good game.
yeah, the Pastronaut did a great job. I thought he did enough to keep you in the game. You gotta find a way to play defense.
Yeah.
And that's really been the Vikings' Achilles heel the last couple years. They can't play defense. You are really struggling. I mean, you've been lucky. You won 5 in a row with Justin Jefferson out. You did your thing.
Now with this loss, they might hurry Jefferson to come back so they can try and make a push to stay somewhat level with the Lions because they do play them twice later in the year.
There was a report from Peter Schrager on Sunday that they may just hold off because the bye week is not next week but the week after. So they may just hold off.
Yep.
Why not? Detroit plays on Thursday against the Packers. Why not? All right, moving on to Cowboys beat the Panthers. This was expected. I know the Cowboys offense did not look good. It was more of a conservative effort. When Dak threw 2 more touchdowns. And Tony Pollard made a good run. It was actually shocking. Shocking. You can run the ball and you have a good offense. Move the chains. Do whatever you got to do. Everyone was kind of a little sick. CeeDee Lamb banged up his ankle a little bit, but I think it was more of the heat and the changeover. But yeah, they did come out a little sloppy, but they scored 14 points in 10 seconds in game time. It's pretty good. And Micah had 2.5. Tank Lawrence had 1 sack. You did what you got to do. You beat an inferior team. It's what you got to do.
You beat a team that you were supposed to beat. Yeah, that's all. I mean, honestly, there's more to talk about the Panthers. Is Frank Reich going to get fired? We should be seeing some sort of I'm not expecting Bryce Young to go in there and go 16-0. On the other hand, he's shown not much to anything. So that's kind of concerning if I'm a Panthers fan. Number 1 overall pick.
Well, and I say this not to be disrespectful to the Panthers. I say this just because it is what it is. When you're the number 1 pick, you're going to a bad team. That's the nature of this sport. You're going to a bad team. It's not that, they're a terrible team if they have another wide receiver. Adam Thielen's all they got. And he made some big plays. And they actually showed that, hey, let's go north and south. Let's run the ball. It worked. They don't do it enough, but it worked. Let's go north and south. That's how this team has to play. If Frank Reich wants to keep his job, make them go. You got to run the ball north and south. Let's go. They had a 9-minute drive on Sunday. They scored a touchdown. They showed us that prior to that touchdown, the entire Panthers offense, 12 touchdowns. Dak Prescott had 12 touchdowns in the last 3 games. Yeah. That's how bad this offense is. When a quarterback who, I think he entered week 8 with 5, he's got 19 now in a very short time frame. So this Panthers offense is bad. There is problems. But let's give him some weapons and let's see what happens. I'm not putting it all on Bryce Young. A lack of a run game. And an offensive line that's decimated. And their defense is not exactly good. They're not bad in pass defense, terrible in run defense. But otherwise, It went as expected.
Yeah, I just think
All right.
if they want to keep
All
their
right.
jobs, if they just want to keep their jobs, I think they need to show some improvement at least the last quarter of the season.
Like I said, if they can run the ball, let's go north and south. This is how this team is made. Let's go north and south. Moving on to NFL news, but we're actually going to start with the college ranks. Jim Harbaugh suspended 3 games. He was suspended 3 games in the beginning of the year for violations during the COVID year. And this was supposed to be brought to a hearing on Friday. Did not happen. Harbaugh ended up accepting the 3 games, which tells me he's probably on his way out. He'll probably try and go to the NFL next year. There was a report by Bruce Feldman, who's followed this throughout the whole process of the Big Ten did not like Harbaugh flirting with the NFL and then coming back. And honestly, I don't blame it then. However, to suspend him for a clause that you've never suspended a player or a coach for, a little shocking.
Right.
But it's not like they needed him. The last 2 games they won, they beat Penn State, they beat Maryland. They're going to go against Ohio State on Saturday. And then in the playoffs, that's it. I thought Jim Harbaugh, and like they said this, that there could be as much as 20 people that go to the NFL this year from Michigan. Why would you want to stay there if 20 people go?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. I could see him in the Raiders. I could see him. I think the Raiders are probably the best fit.
It looks like I don't. It all depends on, does Mark Davis want to do that again, where I have an interim guy, we're winning, and I'm bringing in somebody else.
Right.
All right, moving on. This is kind of a 3-piece question. The Bills, prior to this game against the Jets, had fired Ken Dorsey as their offensive coordinator after the loss to Denver. Joe Brady, the quarterback coach, is now calling the plays. He was the offensive coordinator in Carolina, also the offensive coordinator when Joe Burrow was in LSU. Is this Bills team a playoff team with Joe Brady calling the offensive plays? That's my question.
I think so. I think they would have made the playoffs even with Ken Dorsey. They're gonna find a way to get in. Are they gonna do anything in the playoffs? That's probably the bigger question.
My thing was, Ken Dorsey was not the reason you lost that game in Denver. I just don't think he is.
Right.
Allen throws a bad interception late before the halftime. Like, it's a timing route and you throw it late. Of course it's going to get picked off. He throws an interception early in that game as well. One goes right off Gabe Davis' hands. Not his fault. Gabe Davis is actually somewhat open. It's open in the NFL if you throw it. Goes through his hands, gets intercepted. So, and on the end, all-out blitz. Russell throws a ball that's going to miss the wide receiver. Pass interference. Lets him go kick a game winner. They miss it, but there's 12 people on the field for the Bills. And they kick a game winner. Which, by the way, would have never have had to happen if the Broncos make the 2 extra points. That's the reason you win this game. They missed 2 extra points. Like, otherwise, this game is tied. But I do think the Bills are a playoff team. I think defensively, it's a problem with McDermott calling the plays now. Because, like, this is your second coordinator you fired in 8 months, 9 months. You got rid of Leslie Frazier, either you call him fired, relieved. mutually parted ways, whatever you want to admit. He's let go. He's not there anymore. McDermott's calling the plays. Ken Dorsey's gone. The interceptions for Josh Allen are high.
McDermott is probably running out of people to blame. He's firing everyone that he can. So at this point, he's running out. So they're not going to get rid of Josh Allen, even though he's the one throwing the bad interceptions. It's so, I mean, McDermott's going to be the next one to go if they don't win a Super Bowl, which I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think the Bills they're a little all over the place. Is this a playoff team? Yes. I think they're good enough to be a playoff team. I mean, they're better than the Jets, let's be honest. But
everyone's better than the Jets.
Yeah, and they're better than the Chargers. So I think they can get that slot, that 7, 6, 7 seed. I think there's just questions on, and you're right. Who is McDermott going to blame? Like if this doesn't work,
he's blamed everyone that he can. He can't blame Josh
you
Allen.
got like Dable's gone. He had his best years with Dable. You have Ken Dorsey being the OC. You get rid of him. Leslie Frazier's let go. So to have a follow-up question, has Josh Allen regressed as the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills?
That's a tough question because he's shown this before. Like in year 1, early year 2, he's a gunslinger, but he's obviously not right now as successful as Brett Favre. Will he ever be as successful as Brett Favre? Maybe not. I would say he regressed. I mean, he made less mistakes when they never made the AFC Championship, but I'm pretty sure. But
no, they did 1 year. They did 1 year.
That year he was great. And the year that they played the Chiefs in the divisional, he was great. Yeah, I would say, yeah, he's regressed, but he's shown this in the NFL before that he can make terrible decisions at times.
Well, I saw this, and it's funny. It was a Family Guy meme of when they're holding up the stuff at the border, and they have that little sign.
Okay.
And it says, it says on the top, gunslingers, and it has like a picture of Mahomes, of Allen, of Hurts, and on the bottom, it shows the can't read a defense, and it has Lamar picture, and it has Dak Prescott's picture, and I'm like, that's what it is. In many ways, we contribute interceptions to based on if we like the quarterback or not, and that's not how it should be. Like Josh, has he been good this year at times? Yes.
At times he's been
very
bad.
Yes, exactly. He's been very bad. I don't understand why they don't use Latavius Murray more. He's been the one solid piece that it's not waning in any way. James Cook is fumbling the ball at an absurd rate. He was better in this game against the Jets. But there was a play against the Bills, or when the Bills were facing the Broncos, he fumbles the ball and it dribbles it back to him.
Right.
So there's a lot of it, I think. And look, I'm not saying Sean McDermott deserves to be fired. I'm not saying that Josh Allen's a terrible quarterback. But has he regressed as a quarterback from the Dable years? I'd say so.
Well,
moving on to this happened this morning. Matt Canada, the Steelers offensive coordinator, he got fired. And again, like I said, it's never, I don't want anyone to get fired. But what took so long?
I think Tomlin realized that someone's got to go, and it might be him or Canada. So, I mean, I think honestly, probably what this is does Kenny Pickett really suck that bad? Was it Canada? Was it Pickett? Now you kind of get to see, and maybe hopefully without wasting another season, like, do you want Pickett to be your quarterback or not? We know Canada's trash, but I mean, like, not everything was Canada's fault. So let's see how bad Kenny Pickett really is. I think that's probably what
I
this
mean,
is.
Kenny Pickett reminds me a lot of Tim Tebow. He'd be terrible for like 55 minutes of a game, but for 5 minutes, he would be great. He would turn into like Peyton Manning, John Elway, Tom Brady, all mixed in one. But for 55 minutes, he was Jamarcus Russell.
Right.
Like, that's how bad he was. Like, you can't do that. And so, yeah, I think Kenny Pickett, we need to see what happens. I think this move did need to happen. I saw something on when I saw the report come out. This was the first firing in season for the Steelers, I believe, since 1941.
Yeah, it was pretty shocking. I was pretty surprised when I saw that. I thought it was a joke, and I was like, oh wow, they really did it. But I mean, what do? You're probably losing the locker room, especially after that Browns game. You know, like
When you have players like Najee Harris saying, "Look, we can't play on offense. Like, our defense is doing everything they can. They play a brutal style of football. Okay, their style of football is like, okay, embrace the bull and just embrace it, because we can't do anything on offense. The fact they actually scored against the Packers, I was amazed that they scored 20 points. I mean, Matt Canada scoring offense, it's amazing. Haven't done it. They're that bad. So, again, like, the quarterback coach, Mike Sullivan, he's not going to be the interim offensive coordinator. The term they used was help offensive play calling. That's the term they used. So, it's not. I saw people say, well, what about Byron Leftwich? What about this person, this person, this person? This Steelers offense has talent. Can they do something? I don't know.
probably not.
We're going to wait and see. And to me, this is a 6-week audition for Kenny Pickett. 6-7-week audition. Show that you can play quarterback. And even if it's like, okay, yes, you go 2-6 in this, or 2-5 in this stretch.
Just show flashes. Okay. Show something.
Show something. Do something. Because it doesn't work. And really, Matt Canada should have been fired when Ben Roethlisberger was still there. It should have never have gone this far. So, I asked this question to you a few weeks ago. Has your opinion changed? Who is the next coach to get fired? The next head coach to get fired?
Frank Reich. That's my guess. I was gonna look at teams. Frank Reich. It's hard to blame. I want to say Brandon Staley so bad, but it's hard just to blame Brandon Staley with the Chargers issues. It's not just him. He's a big part of it. I think they'd be better if they had another coach instead of him. But they have a laundry list of problems, and he's not just it. I mean, I think if you trade what you traded to get Bryce Young, and you're like, this is our guy for forever or whatever, you need to show some improvement. And I mean, being 1-9 is not what you're looking for. You're not looking for CJ Stroud success, but you're just looking to be like, okay, this is a bad team. We're not going to make the playoffs. I don't know, third in the division at best, but you need to show improvement, and they have shown nothing. And CJ Stroud makes them look worse because obviously they could have picked him, and he's in MVP talks.
So for me, it's so like, first off, you didn't say Brandon Staley. I will, but there's a lot of them. I think Eberflus. What happened in the game against Detroit?
Oh my God!
You're up in the game. Jared Goff is playing terrible, and yet you lose.
I shut off that game because I thought the Bears won. Like I was watching that game. I was like, oh, Bears won. I moved on. But then I come back for bonus coverage, and I see the Lions mounting a comeback, and I'm like, what is going on? The Bears are bearing.
You could say Ron Rivera if you want.
Yeah.
I think that would be.
I don't think he's next, but I think he will get fired.
But I'll say Brandon Staley for this reason. And it goes back to Eberflus and too. It's both of them. You're a defensive coach. The one thing you should be good at teaching is defense. Now, they asked this question on Get Up if Brandon Staley should be fired. And Rex Ryan, you know how he is.
Yeah,
He went and said, look, he shouldn't even be coaching in the NFL. He should be back in D3 because he's not good.
I mean,
Now, I don't know if you watch. Right. And you have to realize he had 1 year of coordinating and he had Aaron Donald.
That's just because he got hired in the hype of Sean McVay.
Exactly. So he had Aaron Donald and he had Jalen Ramsey. But I'll say this. And Chris Long put it best. He put it best on his show Green Light. He put it as this team. I don't even know if it can be Kellen Moore that is the interim. Because they're both equally bad. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see the bonus coverage in Green Bay?
I was watching that game. I got some of the Chargers players on my fantasy team, so I was watching it throughout the game. I don't know. I mean, Herbert put them in a position to win. Jordan Love put together a great drive, and then they just couldn't do anything. Like you saw Herbert, who you see is normally calm and poised, was like losing it at the end.
Well, I first of all, I will say this. I think his finger injury is a problem for him. Even though it's on the opposite hand, he can't get a snap under center. I think that changes how you call things. It does. Keenan Allen drops a touchdown pass, catches one later in the game. But that play by Quentin Johnston, you have a chance to go win the game. It's a perfect throw, and he drops it. And I haven't watched a lot of Chargers football, but when the Cowboys played the Chargers on Monday night, they throw the ball to Quentin Johnston late in the game, and he gets shoved out of the way by Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore is not a big guy. He's somewhat tall, but he's not big. You're a big body wide receiver. You shouldn't be getting shoved like that. And this play, you burn the corner. You should not be dropping a wide open pass. And that was the criticism when he was at TCU. They said he's not an aggressive ball catcher. Well, I'm like, sure, this wasn't even having to be an aggressive catch. Yeah. He can legit walk out of bounds.
I saw he got picked over Zay Flowers. He got picked over another big name. And I was like, wow, poor drafting.
Addison out of Minnesota.
Yeah, Addison, yeah.
Like, I just think you can blame the offense if you want. The defense still gave up 300 yards. Still gave up 300 yards to Jordan Love, who never had a 300-yard game.
Yeah, Jordan Love looked good.
So, and they asked the question to Brandon Staley, what would you do? Are you giving up the play calling? And he was adamant that he wasn't. I understand that, but it's not working.
Yeah,
it's just not working.
I saw that press conference. That's the sound of a coach that knows he's going to lose his job. He sounded pretty. I know he will get fired, but the question was who's next. I think it's Reich. Like you're 1-9 or whatever they are.
My whole thing that I took out of that press conference was like he was acting like he was Buddy Ryan. He was acting like he created the 4-6 defense in this one championship. I'm like, they didn't win a championship when you were with the Rams. You're not Buddy Ryan, okay? You didn't create a defense in Philadelphia that had no team for like 20 years that was good until Dick Vermeil came around. So stop acting like you know what you're doing. You may know what you're doing, but it's not working. And this team has a lot of talent. Joey Bosa is going to miss some time. You got Khalil Mack. You tried J.C. Jackson, that didn't work. You shipped him back to the New England Patriots. You got Murray, the linebacker. I think he's a good player.
Kenneth Murray, yeah.
You got some good pieces. You should not be this bad.
Yeah,
That's the reason why I think. I wouldn't trust him making the playoffs.
I don't think so.
I think Brandon Staley's the next to go. Is whether or not Dean Spanos says, okay, let's get rid of another coach. And where do we go from here? Which I still think you have to go offense.
I trust David Tepper more with being impatient and firing Frank Reich before the Chargers admit to making a mistake at head coach.
Well, I think it's before we move on. There's two ways this is happening. Carolina has an owner that's very much in what's going on and the everyday operations of being a coach. And Dean Spanos is not in that. And I'm not saying both ways are wrong, but both ways aren't working. You got to do something. And I do believe Frank Reich, Jay Glazer said this on the pregame show on Fox, that his Frank Reich seat is getting very hot at this point.
Yep.
And there was even talks of if they got blown out by a Cowboys team, that they may let him go the next day. It didn't happen, but it could have happened. There was talk of that. But I think if Brandon Staley keeps his job next year, something's definitely wrong, and they got to do something about Dean Spanos at that point.
Yeah,
because this is a problem. This isn't working. Like, I don't know what you got to do for that Chargers team. They're losing so many one-score games. I don't know if you bring Sage. I don't know what you do. Build a whole new stadium. Do something. This doesn't work. Bring Sage. Have a ghost whisperer come in. Do something. This doesn't work anymore. Moving on to, we're going a little fast on this one. Bruce Irvin's agent said he's signing with the Lions. They need a pass rush at some point. Aiden Hutchinson is a good player, but he needs help. James Houston's expected to come back at some point. But they bring in Bruce Irvin. He's going to start on the practice squad. Good veteran guy. Been around. Multiple trips with the Seahawks. Was with the Raiders for a while. He's not as fast as he was a long time. Not as fast as he was a couple years ago, but he's savvy. Sometimes that's all you need.
Yep.
Now, moving on to Lucas, you're a Patriots fan. You're a resident Patriots fan here. And where do you think this question has to be here for Patriots fans? Where do the Patriots go from here? Before you answer, you can say, gotta get rid of Mac Jones. The roster's not good enough. I don't care who you put in. You could bring in primetime Peyton Manning from 2006. This is not going to work. But what do you think? Where do you think the Patriots go from here?
I think right out, I don't really care who plays quarterback the rest of the season. It doesn't matter. None of them are good enough. Right out the rest of the year, I would say tank. I'm not going to try and tank, but try and lose as many games as possible. I can see the Cardinals winning another game. I think right now the Patriots are projected third in the draft. We're behind the Cardinals. I can see them winning another game or two with Kyler. So we could go to 2. I don't see us getting the number 1 overall pick, but if we got the number 2 overall pick and we have plenty of money this season, don't get rid of Bill Belichick. Give him another year. Don't trade him. That's all stupid. Keep him around for another year. If he can't make it work with a top 3 pick, top 2 pick, and all that money in cap space, then yeah, let him go. But I would say draft a quarterback. I mean, Mac isn't the guy. We know he's not the guy. We know we got more issues, but we have money and enough draft picks to hopefully resolve some of them. So that's what I would say.
What I think your issues are First off, there are a lot of them. Your wide receiver room is a joke. It's bad. You got some players, but this can't be a Juju's not a 1 anymore. Devontae might be a 2 at best.
No,
And you don't have
terrible. Devontae Parker needs to go.
and you don't have enough speed in terms of actually a starting wide receiver. I do like Douglas.
I was gonna say Demario Douglas and Tyquan Thornton are the only receivers that I actually like, and I'm pretty sure Thornton's.
They have speed.
Oh,
they're the only
Kendrick
ones that have speed.
And Kendrick
Bourne, but he's not playing right now.
Yeah,
and he's a free agent this year. So you got to figure out something.
I don't know.
You got to figure out something. The offensive line is terrible. The tight ends are fine, but what are you going to do? Gesicki's done in 1 year.
I like Gesicki. Sign him back.
Yes, I think you do got to get rid of Mac Jones. Do you keep him on the team? Maybe put him in a backup role? Maybe.
I don't even care.
You keep Belichick? And this is very important. Do you keep Belichick at all costs? Because what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Everyone's Gerard Mayo. Okay, sure. Has no experience.
Yeah.
Has no experience. He's been an inside linebackers coach.
I think people, they don't understand. They just want to blame someone, and it's easy to blame the 71-year-old coach that hasn't looked great since Tom Brady left. I mean, the team's been riddled with issues. That's why Brady left. I mean, yeah, it's got a lot to do with Belichick too. But the team was bad that year. We couldn't even win with Brady. I think people. Sorry, I just think people are impatient. I think you gotta at least give Belichick another year.
Well, I have 2 points to this. You can make the case the 2017 year that you guys won against the Falcons in that Super Bowl, that's when the team started to go the other way. You can make that case.
Probably.
In terms of talent. You can also make the case of, okay, yes, Belichick is gone. Who do you bring in? And so this was funny to me. So a Patriots beat writer said, what about Vrabel? So you're telling me you're going to trade Belichick to a place, get some assets for him, then trade those assets to get Mike Vrabel? What's the point in trading for him then?
It makes no sense. That Vrabel could be fired. I doubt it. Also, Vrabel's a very his style of play is very similar to Belichick, so you're not getting anything different. It'd be different if you got someone like Ben Johnson. But is someone like Ben Johnson going to want to come to New England? A terrible New England team. You know, you're not going to get those top guys. They'd rather go to the Chargers or the Raiders. But the Patriots have nothing and no one. So no like coaching personnel that's going to be a free agent, or not a free agent, but just willing to get a head coaching gig, are going to want to come to New England.
My whole thing to it before we move on is you're not just getting rid of Belichick the coach. You're getting rid of Belichick and his sons, who are the defensive coordinator. So now you got to bring in a whole new offense and defensive staff, which you already do. I get it. You're also getting rid of the GM. So that means you got to bring in another GM. So you got to bring in someone that can work with the new coach. How is that going to work? Suggesting that there's no one in the organization that hasn't been trained under Belichick for the past 20 years. So you got to bring in a whole new regime and then have them build a roster that is more skin and bones than half the people in the United States. It makes no sense. Give him 1 more year. Give him a shot. Pay some people in free agency. And work it that way. Because that's the only angle you got. Yeah. Maybe you bring in a veteran quarterback before you draft somebody. Maybe you bring in like a Drake May and you let him sit for a couple weeks, a year, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then move on. Otherwise, There's no reason to move on and say, okay, all these guys that Bill drafted, you know what? Let's bring in a new coach and see if he can do it.
Yeah, it's too much to do in 1 year. You got to take it one step at a time.
I agree with that. All right, let's go rapid fire. First of all, Aaron Rodgers aims to return. He's expected to start practicing December 2nd. Why would you? This Jets team is that bad. I would not do it right now.
I agree. I think you should take the rest of the year off and come back ready next year. I don't see any reason why you would want to play for this team. Behind that O-line that you tore your ACL in under 4 plays, why would you want to go back? They're most likely not making the playoffs. And if they do, they got the hardest road. Just wait till next year.
Exactly. Wait till next year. Get a better talented team on offense. Work with that. Now, Zach Wilson, as we continue with the Jets, got benched yesterday. Tim Boyle is going to start in the first Black Friday game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a guy from Green Bay.
What
it's
a
just not the
terrible
guy from
Black
Green Bay you
Friday
want.
game. What a terrible game. Like that's your first
I
Black
agree.
Friday game. One of the best teams versus
Again,
one of the awesome.
We said this earlier. How can you fault Al Michaels for almost falling asleep in these games?
Yeah.
How can you fault him? These games are really bad. I don't know how you fault them.
Yeah.
And also, did you expect the offensive line to be fixed if Aaron Rodgers just sat there?
I've seen people say that they're going to play better when Rodgers comes back. No, they're not. They cannot play better.
I just don't. This offense is bad. And there's times Zach Wilson's look good. There's a lot of times he looks bad. But I think the offense is bad as a whole. I just don't think it's Zach entirely. But I also keep saying this. Zach's lost his confidence like Mac lost his confidence. There's no faith in what they're gonna do.
There's nothing that they can't do. I mean, Zach Wilson, I will say, I think Mac Jones is better than Zach Wilson. I'll give him that. But that's about all I'll give him.
That's a very low bar.
I know.
Right now. It took them 41 drives to score a touchdown. In any other place, the coach would have been fired. The quarterback would have been benched.
I don't know what Robert Sala's infatuation with Zach Wilson is.
I don't know. Moving on to Texans, Denzel Perriman suspended 3 games for multiple hits. And I should put multiple personal foul hits. That's really what it is. We will talk about Kareem Jackson, who is going through this again. Perriman, 3 games. The Texans have been fine without him. The Texans defense looks pretty good under DeMeco Ryan. The offense with CJ Stroud has looked excellent. I also don't care for the fact that everyone's saying he's throwing a lot of interceptions. He's thrown 5 a whole year. Be quiet. He's doing fine. Moving on to Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson had season-ending shoulder surgery. They played the Ravens. He injures his ankle and his shoulder. He plays through it. Probably his best football in that second half. Went 14-14. Anyone who says this guy doesn't want to play is completely mistaken. They told him he wanted to shoot it up and just continue to play. And the doctor said, no, you can't play with this. You get hit in that shoulder one more time, it's going to shatter. So they basically said, you're not playing, period. You're getting surgery. So now he's out for the year. Let's see if it's Dorian Thompson-Robinson or P.J. Walker, Joe Flacco with his head of hair.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got. But yeah, the nature of a very vicious sport is players are going to get hurt. It's the way it goes.
Yep.
Moving on to the Joe Burrow injury. Joe Burrow out for the year. I don't know if you already know that. If you aren't living under a rock, you should know. Tore a ligament in his wrist. Jay Glazer said it was the middle ligament, the ligament that allows your hand to do this. Which, if you saw, the 2 times he tried to throw a ball. He couldn't. He couldn't even get the push on the ball. He would be able to go, and that was it. The ball would just slide out of his hands. It had no grip. Unfortunate. To me, I thought they were the best team, the best chance to go and win against the Chiefs and against Baltimore. Joe Burrow's out for the year. Jake Browning, the rookie, is going to start the remainder of the year unless they get somebody else. 11 rookie quarterbacks. That's an NFL record to start a game this year.
Wow.
Mark Andrews, who got hurt in that same game, suffered an ankle injury and a cracked fibula. John Harbaugh said that there's an outside chance that he can come back. And of course, when you say that, everyone's saying that. So there is a chance.
Right.
I don't know.
Playoffs or in the regular season is he talking about?
He didn't specify. He just said outside chance.
Okay.
I would assume playoffs. I would assume playoffs.
Wait till
I'd come back for like week 18 at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Now, this was news we'll say this about the Broncos first. And we'll kind of lead off that as the end before we head into the game previews. Broncos safety Kareem Jackson suspended again for multiple hits. 4 games. This hit, though, happened in the game against the Broncos and Vikings. He bends his head, and there is contact with Josh Dobbs. However, Dobbs is running. I understand he's a quarterback, but he's running.
Yeah.
And I think the rules are a little too vague to describe what is happening.
I don't know. It's just sad to me because a lot of players that are Hall of Famers now would never made the Hall of Fame because their big hits that made them famous would have just made them in debt. So
we're seeing it right now. We're seeing it right now with James Harrison.
Yeah.
James Harrison, one of the best players, and yet we're saying it. Oh, he's all these penalties, all these fouls and stuff. It's like he was terrifying to face. That should be the important thing. Are you so good that they can't stop you anyway? That should be the important thing, not, well, this happened. He played in a different style. Would Ronnie Lott get in now? No. He hit you so hard that you'd be waking up next Tuesday. You had no idea where you were.
Yeah.
So
it's not fair.
So 4 games. He had a suspension. Last time went 2 games. Now this is 4. Next up, Lucas. The Carissa Thompson's comments. Did you read the comments or did you only hear what was being said?
I saw a clip about it where she basically, from what I remember, she said that sometimes she wouldn't talk to a coach or something like that, so she would just make up something they said, something pretty like vague and like, well, the defense gave up 2 touchdowns, so defense needs to play better, whatever. And she would just make it up for something to say, which is stupid. But
you're pretty close with that. She said, when I didn't get to talk to a coach, because it's not the coach doesn't have to do it.
Yeah.
He can do it. He doesn't have to. When a coach wouldn't talk to them or would say something, like Erin Andrews said she also did this. She said that I did it one time. A coach had said something a little inappropriate, which I'm saying you don't have to say the whole thing, the whole spiel. You just got to like dice it up a little bit. But if she in my estimation, if she's like, well, I didn't get to talk to the coach, you could just say that. Just say he was not available for comment. The example she gave on her Instagram after this happened was sometimes I wouldn't be able to get to talk to a coach. Instead, I would just see what was happening in the game, saying that they were not good on third. So if they were 2 of 9 on third down, I would say this team needs to be better on third down. But I would make it sound like the coach said it. I'm not a liar. I'm like, well, kind of you are. You kind of are a liar. It's not what the coach said. The coach didn't talk to you. So
Right.
I'm not happy about this because, and I don't know if you saw after that news came out, everyone from the sideline reporting community, like Lisa Salters and I think at one point it was Tracy Wolfson talked about it too. They were all saying, "Look, it's so hard to do our job. Like players, we're trying to get players and coaches to talk to us and to trust us with information. It's very hard." Which I will say this. I don't know if you remember this when it was Nick Foles with the Bears a couple years ago, and they were on Monday Night Football, and the news came out that Nick Foles told Brian Greasy that there's times that he knew that he wasn't going to was going to get hit on a play before the ball was even going to get out of his hands. I don't know if you remember this.
No.
This happened. Okay. So the Bears, I can't remember who they played, but Nick Foles said, and then when he was talking to Monday Night Football, that there's times I know when a play comes into my headset, into my helmet, that I know I'm going to get hit. And not just if I know I'm going to get hit. I know I'm going to get hit before the ball's out of my hands, before the play is ready. Now, as a commentator, or as a person, you've got to say, this is off the record, so I don't talk about this. I understand that. This was an in-depth conversation, and a very secretive conversation. And Brian Greasy, who's now the quarterback coach of the 49ers, said it on live television, to which Nick Foles and Matt Nagy had to go and say, no, that's not true. But this is basically that. It's hard to get players to trust you in the broadcasting world. And when Carissa Thompson, first off, if she didn't make these comments, no one would have known anyway.
Right.
It's the fact she did this on her own podcast. But they don't trust you enough as it is, so why would you do this? It makes no sense. It's completely. I understand it's on your podcast, and you say, well, it's on my podcast. It's not on. I'm not saying this on Fox. I'm like, yes, but you're a notable name. It's going to be found out.
Right.
And with the way Twitter and Instagram works, everything can be shared quickly. But what were your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, people don't trust. Not even that they don't trust, but they just don't like journalists. So this is just another reason.
Exactly. All right, moving on. This is some happy news finally. It was 28 years in the making. 28, 27, 29 years, whatever it is. Jimmy Johnson is going into the Cowboys Ring of Honor. And it needed to happen. Why Jerry took so long makes no sense. Jimmy Johnson was the architect of 3 Super Bowls. He won 2 as the coach, but he was the architect of 3. And he said in his book that I read, and he said, I don't even understand our relationship between me and Jerry Jones. We never argued about football, but we argued about the business side of money and stuff like that. So I understand that. I'm happy it's happening. They're not getting any younger. Jerry's 81, Jimmy's 80. It's time to do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it before they're in the ground. So it's going to happen December 30th. It It'll be a special edition of Monday Night Football, so Troy Aikman will be there. So it will be a very special moment. They said this in the game against Carolina. I think it was because of Carolina. They knew this game was going to be really boring, and they needed to do something and fill some time. But I'm happy it's happening. Jimmy definitely deserves this. It's been talked about a little bit. Oh, I shouldn't say a little bit, a lot. And I'm not saying they're gonna go and sing songs from their youth or anything afterwards, but at least get this done. So this is not a holding thing. And for Cowboys, they're saying this is great because Jimmy's now up there. The juju is gone. We can bring out the sage. We can do whatever we got to do. This stadium will be packed for the 30th of December.
Yeah. I'm just looking ahead. Sorry, you can go ahead.
And before you talk, I can't wait to this game. I honestly can't wait until the Cowboys play Detroit to see this happen. No one will sell their tickets for this game.
Yeah. I was just saying, I'm looking ahead at the Week 12 games that we're picking, and the odds. Like, I don't think I'm gonna pick against the odds once. Packers, Lions, Commanders, Cowboys, Niners, Seahawks, Bills, Eagles.
I think the only game I would pull against might be Buffalo if they play the way they did against the Jets.
I won't.
The only one.
Yeah, that's the only one.
So let's get to it. The NFL Week 12 games that we've selected. We've had 4 games here. Packers, Lions. We have the 3 Thanksgiving games. Packers, Lions. Lions are 7.5-point favorites.
Yeah. Packers aren't facing the Chargers, so they're gonna face a real team in Detroit, and they're gonna lose. So I'm going Lions. I don't know. The Lions don't look that impressive. Besides their comeback against Chicago, I'll go 24-14.
Yeah, I have the Lions winning as well. I have the Lions covering this game because I don't like how the Packers play offense. I just don't like it. I think they're slow, and if again, like you said, they're not playing the Chargers. They're not going to have a guy who's going to go, and this is in Detroit, so there's not going to be bad weather. The only thing that might be would be a bad field, but otherwise than not, the Lions win this game. I'm going to say they win 31. I'll say 31-10. Moving on to Commanders Cowboys at the 4:30 time slot for CBS. Cowboys favored by 11. Who do you got, Lucas?
I don't think they're going to win by 11. I do think they're going to win. It's just because it's a divisional matchup. It's Thanksgiving. I think the Commanders are going to come to play. I do see it being closer. I would say Cowboys. I don't know. I'm hoping for a good game. Maybe 27-24.
Well, I'm sorry to have to say that. I'm not going to say the Cowboys are going to win, but they're not going to win by 11.
Yeah.
These Thursday games are never very good. They just never are.
It's Thanksgiving. That's around supper time. I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah, I'm hoping for the best too. Cowboys will win. Sam Howell put up numbers. I kind of want to see how these two teams match up. If the Cowboys want any chance to catch the Eagles, they have to win these games.
Yeah.
They play Commanders, and then next Thursday night they play Seattle. So I'll say the Cowboys win. I'm gonna have it. Cowboys win 23. No, Cowboys win 23-14.
Okay.
It'll be one of those games. It just doesn't make sense how they win. Next up, 49ers versus Seahawks. +6.5 for the Seahawks. 49ers safety, I hope I pronounced this right, Tanoa Hafunga. I hope I probably butchered it.
I know who you're talking
I
about.
was
Towards ACL.
tore his ACL. Nasty Juke tears his ACL. Gone for you. These names are very hard to say, Lucas. They're very
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
I was trying to pronounce Equanimous for 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay, these
Well,
names are hard.
better than me.
But Hafunga's out for the year. Seattle is plus 6.5. Who do you got winning this game?
Niners. Seahawks. Listen, they lost to the Rams. I don't know what was going on with Geno Smith. He was hurt, and they had Drew Lock go in. He threw a pick.
There's an elbow injury for Geno. Don't know if he's playing.
Okay, then I'm definitely going Niners. Niners cover 28 14. I don't know.
This is going to be an interesting game, I think. I don't know if Geno plays. I don't even know if Geno plays next week. But I will say 49ers will win this game because Geno won't play, I think. But I really want to see this Seattle defense play against the 49ers. How do they match up? Because for the next 3 weeks, the Seahawks play the Niners twice. So I have the 49ers winning. They'll cover. But I think it's a lot closer than everyone thinks. It's going to be 24. I'm going to have it 24-14.
Okay.
And final game, Bills versus Eagles, -3. I think if the Eagles play the way they did against Kansas City, that's a tough game for the Eagles. And if the Bills can play the way they played the Jets, which I don't know if you can do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can do that. That was really bad. But who do you got, Lucas?
I got Eagles. It'll probably be. I'll say it'll be a good game. I'll say Eagles 31-28.
My concern, and it's the concern I think of, it's happened twice in 3 weeks for the Eagles. They're at the end of a game, and their corner makes a bad play, or the corner gets outrun. The game against the Cowboys, it's 3rd and a country mile, and Dak scrambles around and just fires it from Michael Gallup, in which Slay hits Gallup early, or Bradbury hits Gallup early. That can't happen on a 3rd and 20 when there's like 40, there's 30 seconds to go in the game.
Yeah.
You just gave them a chance to win. They didn't win, but you gave them a chance to win, and you get another penalty of roughing the passer. That can't happen. And again, last night it happened. Darius Slay got caught for a couple penalties, though they were throwing flags on everything.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have no wide receivers, and besides MVS, who's dropping everything left and right. Oh, hang on. We just got news. Hang on. I don't know if you saw. We'll talk about that in a second. And so he throws it up in the air, and it nearly gets dropped. It gets dropped, but he beats this corner. He beats Darby. So there's concern. I want the Bills to win. I think the Eagles win, but I don't even know if the Eagles cover. I think they'll win 31-30. And breaking news just happened now. The Colts are cutting Shaquille Leonard.
I saw that. Good player, just injury riddled, and I think I saw a Colts fan say in the comments that he wasn't even second linebacker in the depth chart. So I don't know. It was a good player, just unlucky.
Yeah, and now he'll be able to go to a team that I think has a chance to go and win.
Niners.
This Colts team is Niners. You could say Cowboys. The Cowboys need linebacker help.
Yeah.
Vander Esch out for the year.
True.
Seattle, in case something happens to
Seattle lost their
Bobby.
safety. I just saw.
Yeah.
Reed.
Yeah. So there is issues. I think if you're really talking about it, a team that would need him before we head out of here. What about Pittsburgh? That's a spot.
If they think they're gonna make a run, I guess. I just don't know how
think
likely
if
that
anytime
is.
you have Mike Tomlin, you can make a run.
True.
But I think as of now, Shaquille Leonard is no longer with the Colts, and the Maniac is now a free agent. Thank you. We will get better at this hopefully next week, and we'll put on a better show.
Yeah.
But thank you for watching. For the What a Play podcast, I'm Jacob, and this is Lucas, and we are out.
Yep. Thank you.